Welcome to the Funniest Person podcast out of Acme, where we talk about a little amateur contest that's produced some of the best comics in the whole dang country. And here, it's everybody's favorite, Chad Daniels.
Well, that's not true at all, but thank you. I would direct you back to when I was in the contest. I was certainly not everyone's favorite.
Well, now, in retrospect, people could say, oh, I would have totally voted for him. You know, it's like the movie that gets more popular 10 years later.
Well, I think it's mostly because after the shows, it has nothing to do with the shows. It's after the shows we play left, right, center, the dice game.
Yeah.
And I think people are really into that.
Sure. So really, they're just tagging on to your. You're basically a game show host who does a little comedy. Set beforehand.
It's a little trick that I learned on the road where it's like, listen, no one's going to listen to your bits.
Yeah.
But if you have something cool to do after, where you can drink and gamble a little bit, then they kind of remember you for that. And then it's great.
It's actually true. And you are, as a guy who's been on the road a bunch, you are well known among staffs as the fun guy. Everyone's like, oh, Chad's coming. We're going to have a fun weekend.
That used to be the case. I'm older now.
Sure.
So people are like, hey, aren't you the guy that got blackout drunk at the Ohio State-Michigan game? Do you want to go drink? It's like, I sure don't, but thank you. I'm still hungover from that game.
Well, that's why you had to get the game part of it in, because
exactly.
You couldn't drink the half a bottle of Jack Daniels at the Friday Late Show.
Truth.
Yeah. So you started, of course, here.
Yep.
Did you do your first sets at Acme? Where were your first sets?
Pretty much, yes. I say yes. That's the story I tell.
Sure.
The first time I ever was on stage, it was for the contest, and it was with Brett Allen, Paul LeCamp, and there was someone else that I don't remember, was also there first time. Might have been their last time.
Sure.
Went on stage, lost. This is a preliminary round.
Sure.
Didn't win. Brett Allen won.
And this was, you said 98, you were saying?
Yep.
Think? Yeah.
Yep. Brett Allen won. We became friends later. Also Paul LeCamp and I, but
right.
And I lost, but you got to come and watch the show for free.
Yeah.
And so it was Mitch Hedberg.
Wow. He was the headliner.
He was the headliner that week. And I have so many also when I went to Grand Forks, North Dakota. So 6 months after that, after the first time I did it here, I got asked by Brett Allen to go host in Grand Forks, North Dakota, to be the house MC
at the Westward Ho, right?
At the Westward Ho.
Actually, I believe I met him. He came down for like an anniversary thing. He was hanging out with us, right?
Yep.
Somebody from the Westward Ho was hanging out with us one time. Yeah.
And then I go up there for my audition week. It's Mitch Hedberg.
Ah, perfect.
I'm like getting the luckiest draw of all time. You know, one of the most legendary comedians ever. First time I'm in the contest, he's the headliner. And I remember we went to Denny's the next day on campus, and we were all just doing his bits.
Yeah.
Didn't remember his name.
Interesting.
Because it was comedy. You go in, but we're doing all of his bits, thinking they're so funny. And then I got to work with him again, and then, I mean, it just blew my mind.
Oh, yeah. He was and a chill guy, too, like a fun guy to hang with.
Yep.
So you signed up to do the contest. Basically, you'd never done stand-up.
Pretty much. I mean, an
open mic here or there?
I had never an open mic. I would do like I went to the Fergus Falls Community College and I hosted their homecoming thing.
Sure.
And so I would try to do some bits there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You basically tried to sneak stand-up into places where it wasn't supposed to be.
Exactly. Like church and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Graduation speech, whatever you could.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then you saw the contest where you like, did you, in your mind, were like, this is the way into comedy? Or was
because I'd been looking for it, and I was at the Mall of America, and Knucklehead said they had a contest, and I went up and I said, do you have to be a pro to be in this contest? And she was like, yep. And then later on, I found out horse shit. You absolutely do not. Because then she was still working there, and we became friends later. But I was like, I came and asked you about this once, and you lied to my face. But then I found out you could come down here, because I came to watch an open mic, and then I saw the sign up. And so I was like, oh, shit. All right. Because I want to see what it was about.
Yeah.
And then, and then signed up for the contest, lost that first time. And then I was in the contest one other time.
Okay. And so now did you do any open mics here between the time that you signed up for the contest and?
That's how Brett Allen saw me.
Oh, okay. So you were like, all right, you were kind of a regular at the mic.
Yep.
How many, this is kind of a semi-tangent, but back then, like how many people would sign up for the mic on like a given
I think
Monday?
A lot.
Because there are periods where it's been a huge, and there's periods where it's been like 40 in like, when comedy has its ebbs and flows. Because now it's like 60.
And I also think, and buckle up, listeners, this is before texting. Pretty much. I mean, it wasn't mass texting. So you had to come down here and physically be here when the list came out.
Sure.
No one was texting me like, dude, you're on, you're fourth.
Sure.
So you were here. And then because of that, you would stick around even if you weren't on the show. Because that was the biggest thing for me, was listening to other comedians, just kind of sitting close to their conversation and listening how they talked. And I was like, that's how I think. I want to be part of this group, so.
I did this. I would always hang out, and I guess texting existed, but certainly not photos of the list. But
sure,
I was never trusted anybody to tell me if the list was accurate enough for stuff. But yeah, I would just I just want to hang around and listen to the people who worked here, like Eric Allen and Tommy Ryman and the newer people. It's like, okay, how did they get from where I'm at to that spot?
For sure.
So you're already a regular open micer. You do the contest. Did you when the first time you did the contest, were you feeling confident, or were you?
Well, first off, when you started asking yourself the question about how do you get to where Tommy Ryman and Eric Allen were you disappointed when you found out it was sucking Lewis's dick?
Here's the thing. I sucked Tommy's dick, which was so stupid because he's nice, but he can't really do anything for you. He can drop your name, but it's like, ugh. My whole life is the wrong dick.
Tell me about it, Brian. Sorry, what was the question?
Oh yeah, so when you the first time you entered, were you feeling like I got a pretty good chance of this, or were you just?
Oh, I was terrified.
Okay, sure. So you were still new that you were
terrified.
Scared.
Yep.
And you lose first round, bang, you're out.
Yep.
And then
had a great time.
Oh, of course, yeah. Now, do you remember who won that year?
I have no idea because I didn't come back for the.
Because at this point you were probably living in. Were you still living?
No,
farther away?
I was down here.
Okay, so yeah, but you didn't come back for the finals.
I didn't come back for any of the other rounds. I just remember Brett Allen won that particular evening.
Sure, yeah. And then, so then you worked at the Westward Ho between contests.
Correct.
Basically.
Yep.
Okay, so you're at the Ho for a while.
Yep.
And then the whole time in your mind, are you thinking? I don't know. You're like, I'm gonna do this contest again. I'm gonna do great.
Well, I started thinking I want to do the contest again because obviously you want to make it to the finals. You at least want one win under your belt, kind of a validation of the work.
Yeah.
But I came down here when I was working at the Westward Ho, and I asked Lewis for a meeting. And I said, can you tell me, and by the way, Lewis, people don't know this, but when you get the list for the open mic, there's also a space, a line behind the person's name.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewis would take notes. And he would keep them in folders. And so when I asked him, I was like, what do I need to do? I'm emceeing up in Grand Forks. What do I need to do to MC your club? And he said, well, you're about 2 or 3 bits away, good bits away from doing that. Because when you come back, I can kind of smell the road on you. That was the phrase he used.
Sure.
Because I was doing anything to get laughs. I was seeing the same crowd over and over and over. So I was doing anything I could do, pulling out all the tricks I was learning and all that shit. And so when I came back here, he kind of said, if you want to work on the road and you want to be good on the road, you can't be doing this tricky shit. You have to write solid bits that work everywhere. And that was huge.
Yeah. When you say tricky, it's sort of like name the town where they selling drugs and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you name the neighborhood, the local neighborhood, the old road, the whole bag of road tricks.
Local reference, making fun of the... Stop to get gas at the Come and Go. Wow. I didn't even realize.
Although Pat Sushfield's always, I always liked his joke. He said, the pump and munch, that's the wrong order. I always thought that was a really elegant, stupid, dirty joke.
Yeah, it's very funny.
It's very funny. But so you're kind of honing for it. So now the second time you did the contest in '99, were you thinking I think I got this? Or
I sure wasn't, but I did think maybe I should bring a guitar on stage.
Really?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You brought a guitar? Is that something that you were doing at the Westward Ho ever?
Nope. I did this because I was just singing a song. I was home. So I was on the road in Grand Forks, living there, working there.
Sure.
And then I came back officially home to my apartment, and I was playing my guitar one night, and we were drinking, and I did a parody of Hey Baby, I Want to Know, Will You Be My Girl?
Sure.
I did a parody of that, and everyone was like, it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. And so I did it here, and everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing?
So you Weird Al'd your second set.
Yeah, only one thing. So I did, 2.5 minutes of stand-up, and then I quickly grabbed the guitar and closed on that. And it was like, oh man, I'm so glad there's no footage of that. So glad.
I often am glad to myself, and I started a little later, but Just that there wasn't a whole lot of video.
Yeah.
Everything wasn't always recorded back then.
Right.
Because
Yep.
boy, nowadays it's like, oh, everything's recorded forever. Everything's back on the camera in the office.
Yeah. Hey, you know how you're just learning how to do this and trying things and you don't really know what's going to happen? Well, it's all documented.
Totally. You know, the Olympics, they don't do a thing when they're showing like the ski jumpers. Like, here's him learning to ride a bike. Let's watch him fall down a whole bunch of times and be an idiot.
Shit, that's perfect. That is absolutely beautiful.
It's like, same different thing, basically, right? He's an athlete. He just sucked here. Let's all dwell on that.
That's great.
Did you advance the second time?
I did. I made it to the finals.
Made it to the finals. So you no song in the semifinals set apparently then.
No. I think I did it all the way through.
Oh, okay. So that was your big closer.
I think I did same set.
Do you remember the parody lyrics of the song?
I don't.
Okay. If you did, you probably would lie and say you don't.
Well, I do remember that it was something about going to get a taco and a man named Paco, and then that was I said, "Hey, will you be my chica?"
Ah, okay. That's the gist of the.
Made it to the finals, motherfucker. Where's the camera? That got me to the finals.
Well, they realized you were bilingual. They were so impressed.
It was a weak field in '99.
Now, do you remember who won in '99?
I do. Bill Rainey.
Oh, I've heard that name. I don't know Bill Rainey.
He is a one-liner genius. I love Bill so much. He had to take a little bit of a hiatus, some health stuff. But when they'd announce his name for open mic, you would get everyone that was out, comedian that was outside come in and listen to him. Fantastic writer, beautiful human being, and everyone thought, yeah, 100% the judges got this right. Yeah. Now, I was also in the finals with a guy in a cow outfit. So my guitar didn't seem so dumb. But he got so mad when they announced what place he got that he threw his gift card and walked off stage, and then I just grabbed his gift card.
Yeah.
So I took third place and got 2 gift cards.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will say, if you don't win in the cow outfit, it instantly becomes profoundly humiliating.
Yeah.
You know?
And because we were all on stage and there's only one way to get backstage, and people were like, in the slot of the curtain where you need to get backstage.
Yeah.
And he screamed, and he didn't even take the time to go, move. I mean, come on, dude. Go out with a bang. You're in a cow outfit.
Now we see he got 4th or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what he got, but he was pissed about it.
I love the idea of being indignant that your cow costume bit didn't work.
Yeah, especially when you saw Bill Rainey crush with brilliant material.
Right.
Yeah, everyone knew. As soon as Bill got off stage, we were like, congratulations. That was awesome.
I've seen a couple of years like that where it was just like, well, that was very clear.
Yeah, you're walking away with it.
Yeah, and one-liners, I always tell people, do really suit a short contest like that because you can just pack so many jokes into 3 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, but his, not only did it suit it, I mean, they were so good.
It's like Bartell doing them where it's like, every one of these is great.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so I remember with the gift cards, it was to... maybe the Electric Fetus, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I went in, I got a bunch of CDs that I no longer have technology to listen to, but I have them.
Sure.
So so that's nice. Yeah, I got some movies, and those are VHS, so I no longer have the technology to watch those, but I still have them in my office.
Fetus gift card's not a bad...
Because that's what I want.
Yeah.
And I got an extra gift card, so I got extra stuff.
I won hockey tickets. Club level wild seats, actually.
Wow.
They were pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. It was better than the next... I was 4th. I remember 3rd place, Zach Coulter. I was like, whatever. It was not that great. I got way better off with a hockey ticket. So how long from the second year you did the contest to when you got hired?
I think it was pretty quickly afterwards.
A few months, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
You were on that trajectory. So then the losing the contest didn't sting particularly.
No, and I'd also heard that there was like a jinx in the contest. There was the first place jinx where you would go down the line of people that had won the contest, and a lot of them weren't doing comedy.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the thing where you'd like, well, thank God I didn't win. I don't know if you guys heard about the jinx, and it was probably an excuse for everyone that lost, just to be able to say that.
Sure, but it's a nice excuse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and asking people and kind of tracking, through the different eras, it's interesting that for a while there was considered to be a jinx, right?
Sure.
And then there was a stretch right around the time before when I started and when I was starting out that it was considered almost a lock because so many people who had won had gotten hired. Now, in retrospect, it was a pleasant coincidence that the people who would have gotten hired here anyway happened to win the contest.
Sure.
But it's not like it was 1-to-1, but when I went all the new guys in my era, it was like, well, there's your ticket right there.
Yeah.
So the number one spot was like super hotly contended because Brooks and Eric and Ben Sandell, like a whole bunch of people in a row had won. And then like Andy Erickson got second, but it was like, she would have won any other night anyway. Sure. So it was almost like she was like presumed as the secret winner or something.
Yeah.
And so, but then after that for a while, then there was another jinx stretch. So then it went back to nobody wanting to win. But now the newest MC just won the contest. So
okay. Oh, great.
So we're back in a good period.
Yeah. The names you just listed are mind blowing. So many funny people.
Yeah. And then so many funny people who didn't, like Tommy Ryman never made it out of the first round.
Good.
So there's plenty of those too. Abshire turned down money for a whole year just to get second in the next year, which is really the funniest thing that you can do.
Oh, that's very funny. I remember Tommy saying, it doesn't matter that I didn't make it out of the first round. Brian Miller sucked my dick.
I mean, it was way better than a Fetus gift card, I'm going to say. I mean, depending on how much the gift card's for, I guess.
Wow. Talk about coming and going. Anybody? Is Lewis listening? Anybody? Let me close it.
So you sounded like you had some people had put a lot of nervous energy into the contest. It sounds like you did not for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I was very excited. I
Sure.
was very excited to be doing stand-up. I'd wanted to do stand-up since I was little and just never really knew how to get into it.
Yeah.
So just the fact that they were letting me on the stage was crazy.
Basically, doing the contest was essentially its own reward for you at the time. You're like, I'm here. I'm doing it.
Right.
That's a really better way to look at it for people, I think,
Sure.
versus me and Abshire both were pretty uptight about it. And in retrospect, it was like, why? It's not like it's like the fact that you're there and working hard at it, that is the signal that you're doing well.
Right.
It's not did you get fourth or second or whatever.
Right. And also when it helps take the nerves out when you see Bill Rainey doing these awesome jokes and you're like, yeah, I'll be out there in a second. I got to get my guitar out of the case.
Hold on, there's a big plastic udder on here. The other guy's props in my way. It would have been nice if it was a two-man cow costume. The
So
old
great.
classic, and the guy in the
Yes.
back is not even doing stand-up. He's just there to literally...
He's just the ass.
He's just and he's the one who's mad. Oh, no, how did we not win? I did so well.
Lead us out of here.
Did you find doing contests like stuff like that helps later on when you do more high-pressure sets? Have you adjusted the way that you approach, like, contest or audition sets much?
Not really. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I never got too crazy about it. One day I was doing a late night set, and my hands were shaking, and I couldn't figure out how to get them to stop shaking.
Interesting.
So I grabbed the mic with both hands and just squeezed one hand with the outside hand because I needed them to stop shaking. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Interesting.
But for other stuff, I don't get too crazy about it.
Yeah, but that was just almost like a tick, like a really sudden.
Yeah, I
one
didn't know what was going on.
Didn't happen again.
Right. Yeah.
Which set was that? I feel like I remember you double. This isn't
That
usually
was
your.
why it was a Conan set.
Yeah. I think I do remember you doing that. It didn't show, at least on
Well, great, because
the squeezing thing worked. But I do remember the picture of you like that. And I'm like, he's not usually double fisting that thing. So what advice do you have to people for doing this contest and then also for just generally doing contests?
I think just in life, just general in life, just have fun. I mean, you can think about all the. This is something we say at my house. There's no reason to borrow worry from around the bend. So, just if you don't win, you don't win. It's the same thing with my daughter and her figure skating. She just did these 2 tests today, and it's the last opportunity for her to pass these tests because she's a senior, and this is the last testing weekend. And I just go, you know what? Just, you know how to do it. Go do it, but have fun. And if you don't get it, your life is pretty great.
Yeah,
so, it doesn't really change much. And so she went out and she did it. She passed the test, and it's thrilled for her. But as far as like contests go, in the grand scheme of things, they don't mean shit. I mean, you got here today and you go, what year did you do the contest? What place did you come in? I mean, no one remembers that shit.
Right. It's like your grades in high school. You think it's really important.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, do you have a high school diploma? Okay.
Yeah.
Or even in college. I graduated college. No one's ever, of course, it helps that I never apply for real jobs. But like,
Sure.
even like my wife did have a good college transcript. No one ever asked to see it.
Yeah.
Hers is the same as mine, and mine's kind of shitty. But we went to the same school. We have the same piece of paper. Nobody cares.
I went to a community college for 3 years and still don't have enough credits to be a sophomore. But my daughter's friends still call me Mr. Daniel, so it's fine. It worked out great.
There is a social promotion, they call it. Eventually, it's just like, well, here you go. You're 40. Yeah.
When your jowls turn white on your beard, people just automatically go, he must know something.
He's so wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I need one with staff. Need to carry around that.
I think that is generally good advice, though. Just unlike your temporary mic technique, holding things loosely is generally a better way to go. Like, you'll generally do a better job if you kind of can loosen your grip on stuff just a little bit.
For sure.
Any smack you want to talk about anybody before we go? Contestants or otherwise?
I don't think so.
Pete Lee. I'm trying to think of anybody we haven't bagged on too much. We've said a lot of nice stuff about Brooks, so I need to get him on to say some mean stuff about people.
Oh, well, I won't say anything nice about Brooks.
No, fair enough.
We were doing Punchline Punch Out here.
Oh, one of my most memorable nights in comedy.
Yeah, and the word was fire, and I was going against him, and he came out and did mushrooms and got naked because the only person that had ever been fired from Acme got naked and did drugs on stage. I think 2 people.
Sure.
And so they did drugs and they got naked, and so that was his thing. He was doing getting fired.
He also showed up late to the set on purpose. He demanded a music cue. I remember that set really, really well.
It was unbelievable. And I came out, kept my clothes on, didn't do drugs, and fucking beat him. And I need everyone to know that. Did I deserve to win? Nope.
You beat him in that round?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I went undefeated that week.
Interesting, because in my mind, Brooks won that one.
Of course, and he should have. Here's what happened. There were people in here that didn't want to see a dick and voted for me before I got on stage.
He's a handsome man, too. It wasn't like, it's like, come on.
He's got a good dick.
Yeah.
He's got one of those, like, water faucet dicks.
Sure.
Not the one that doesn't hang, but it's like the one that sticks out and then drops down.
Like a fancy hotel.
So you know it gets big when it's hard.
I could literally remember the sound of it coming out. Not like the actual dick, but like, because I was behind the curtain hosting the show, and you could hear the audience going, woo, like it's going to happen. And there was a certain tenor to the screams where you're like, it's happened.
There was an employee of this club working that night whose their apartment building manager was at the show and saw Brooks's nice dick and told the server, if you can get me a date with him, I will take half your rent off.
Really?
And that's prostitution.
That's incredible, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
it's pimping, I guess. Technically.
True.
Yeah.
That's a nice dick. But I think people, they didn't vote for me that night. They wrote down not Brooks. I didn't come to see a dick.
Truly one of the 5 most memorable sets I've ever seen in my life.
And I have it on DVD.
Really?
I sure do.
Nice.
And I'm waiting.
Oh, yeah.
I am waiting for a public office bid. And I'm going to shut that shit down real quick. Oh, you wanted to get fired? Well, here you go, bitch.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk about the contest.
Absolutely.
And have good shows the rest of the week.
Thanks. Nice to see you.